Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of SVT Sports Podcast. I am Sam. I am joined by my co-stars here, Vince and Tyler. What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
And I got Tim on the ones and twos.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
guys, welcome back. It's been a crazy week. We got a lot to touch on. How have you been? Just real quick, let's start with Vince.
Vince is doing all right. Just surviving this crazy rain we've been having here in the Bay Area and all of the state of California. Really, Sacramento's getting hit pretty hard. So is San Luis Obispo, all the way down to Disneyland, man.
Hey, Tyler, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Just can't wait until Friday because apparently I overworked and my company realized that I shouldn't have. So looking forward to my second Friday off in a row.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tim, how are you, man?
Doing great. Yeah, let's get into it.
Cool. So guys, last episode, as we were recording, there was a freak injury that happened to the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin. We have an update on that. Like I said last episode, that happened like pretty much as we were recording and we were following. So now we finally get to report good news. He's alive. He's able to talk. He's with his family and loved ones. So some positive news coming out of that. Any follow-up comments, Vince? Tyler?
Yeah, during the game on Sunday, he was live tweeting from his hospital bed, so he was in really good spirits. He had the Love for Damar shirts that basically everybody in the entire league was wearing. He had one of those and was doing a little heart symbol with his hands from the hospital bed. He was released from the hospital today, Monday. So, he's on his way back to Buffalo and he's going to continue to get treatments and stuff like that. But we dodged a bullet here, guys. Like literally, like he's all things considered, he's in really good shape. So I'm really excited for him and his family and his team and just everybody involved in the NFL. Like this ended up, if you're going to tell me that somebody's going to have a heart attack on the field, a cardiac incident, this is the best possible outcome from that, so
absolutely.
He's
and the amount of money that his charity made, Bills Mafia, they've consistently done a very good job of supporting various charities across Athletes League, NFL players, various charities. But the NFL fandom came together and supported his charity, so that was really a great outcome as well.
Bills Mafia reminds me of like those certain chapters of Hell's Angel bikers that are, these gruff and tough, into beer chugging and ladies and riding on their motorcycles. And then they'll go and like donate teddy bears to like children and like, help out kids. So that's what Bills Mafia reminds me of. Also, I love that they're obsessed with wrestling and probably one of them. I think they're crazier than the Eagles fan base as far as like what they do for their tailgating parties. So I love it. Love Bills Mafia. I also thought it's just poetic, I mean, the Bills came out, first play of the game, special teams runs it back for a touchdown, and then I think shortly after that, there was another run back. So they had like almost 300 yards and just special team run back. So there's just something poetic about how football or sports in general can just feel the moment and capture it all in one. So it's nice. I'm glad that he's alive and I'm hopefully makes a speedy recovery as well.
Absolutely. And the only person to really turn this nasty situation with a positive outcome, like Skip Bayless. How does this guy still have a job? Like, what a disgusting tweet, defense, lame apology he had. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just wanted to get my shot at Skip Bayless because he's just a terrible fucking media personality that just shouldn't be on air anymore. Like he's just a toxic personality. When your co-stars refuse to show up to work, what does that tell you? Get rid of this guy.
I am in the dark. What did he say?
I don't even remember. It was I read it.
Tim, for the YouTube feed, in case you're not familiar, we have a YouTube feed. We'll have the correct tweet on the YouTube feed. But to summarize, because I don't have it in front of me, he basically, as the injury happened and the delay was happening due to Hamlin having a heart attack and the emergency response that he needed to survive, and the discussion to postpone the game or cancel the game, he was getting impatient and said, I know this is a serious injury, but are you seriously talking about canceling a game that has playoff implications? Like basically saying like, get him off the field and continue the game. And everybody, rightfully so, was upset with Skip Bayless. Shannon Sharpe didn't come to work the following day at recording. There was a feud between them on air when he did return. And as Shannon Sharpe was discussing the situation in his opening monologue, Skip Bayless was constantly interrupting him and taking personal shots. And Shannon Sharpe was trying to defend himself, like saying, you know, I'm a Hall of Famer. I am a Hall of Fame NFL player, and you won't even let me get a word in about this subject matter. So it's just an ugly situation for Skip Bayless, and he's just inconsiderate that maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe the game would have continued. I'm glad we're at a place where it didn't. I'm glad we're at a place where these mega corporations, because the NFL is 32 mega corporations, are doing the right thing and putting Hamlin's life and NFL players' lives ahead of media needs. Because the only thing that he was pissed off about is that the game was delayed, and his fantasy football, there's these Twitter assholes that were upset about their fantasy football league. You know, I have the quote here, guys. Thank you, Tim. So Skip Bayless's tweet, quote, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems irrelevant. Like, just
What a joke. What an absolute joke.
terrible take.
Yeah,
That's all the time we should spend on it. Let's not give him any more
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Let's move on to some positive news.
That's right.
Vince, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, baby. Q Queen, because your boy is the champion. That's right. It's been a dozen years since my last championship. The last championship was also a money league. Fun fact. So that's on you guys for making me convert to money league. I am now winning again, and I'm taking money. I'm putting it toward a trophy. So
let's be fair. Let's be
we'll
fair.
have all these winnings.
If the Colts learned how to throw a touchdown or score a touchdown, I would have been there and easily would have handled Sam as well. But because that god awful of an organization doesn't know how to run itself,
I'm sorry. I'm just hearing excuses. That's what I'm hearing.
Vince came in
Chirp,
and
baby.
sweeped in with this amazing 30-point defense, and
Yep,
there
that's
went
right.
my back-to-back.
Yep.
Here's
Yep.
the thing,
There it
though.
goes.
The only comfort, because I came in second.
You had no like.
Here's the
like,
thing. Vince scored so many goddamn points. Nobody in the league was going to beat him that weekend. Nobody.
No.
I mean,
No.
I think what was it, 185 points?
170.
It was 176. Yeah, and I mean,
So I think that was the highest score
It was.
in the
Yeah,
entire
I-
season. So
I scored 165, so Vince beat me. So not only did Vince, escape out of the championship round to the final chip there, but he also scored the most points too in the league.
What was
Yeah.
what was the 49ers Bengals? Didn't the 49ers blow out the Bengals in that game? Or was that
Yeah,
49ers
who had a 50
Chargers?
burger? Who had a 50
Um,
burger?
oh God, no, there was
There was one
it
Super
was
Bowl
Mike
where
Williams. Mike Williams got me a 50 burger, and then I
okay.
had CMC and George Kittle went off. Mike Williams went off a little bit too, and I pulled a defense off of the scrap heap because they were playing, I think, the Texans, and I was like, let's fucking go, and I did it, and it was a great move, and I barely snuck into the playoffs. I remember like a month beforehand,
we were both 500, I believe.
Yeah, I was 7-7, and I barely snuck into the playoffs in the 6th seed. But like a month before that, I was like, since you assholes haven't buried my dog shit of a team, I have to actually keep trying. And Kenneth Walker was also had quite the run to get me to the championship. So shout out Seahawks. It made me sick to say it, but yeah.
Yeah, you won some money, and
Yep.
we get to buy you a movie ticket and some candy. So
That's right. I'm
Well, let's
loving
rephrase.
life.
I get to buy the movie tickets, unfortunately, because I'm that poor bastard.
That's right. Tyler finished 3rd out of the 3 of us.
Which is crazy because I had the best record.
Yeah, we had the
quiet
top 3
third
spots.
place.
I know, right?
My brother
Quiet
was
you.
the fourth place, so that was nice. A little family action there too. So that was great.
On to next season.
On to the next season.
I'm taking that chip back. I'm taking that trophy.
I actually took my winnings. I bought a trophy for our league, and we can add nameplates onto it too. So we'll keep this going for a few years, at least, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Adding names to the
That's
championship.
awesome. It's like our own little Stanley Cup. We get to take it home and drink out of it and sleep with it.
Yeah.
Does it actually have a hole
to it?
Like, is it actual cup?
There's
Or
a
is
hole.
it like a
No,
is it hard capped?
There's a football on the top of it. It says like Fantasy League Champion or whatever. And I'm gonna put like
So it doesn't
picture.
have a hole, but it can enter a hole. Moving on, guys. We got
And
NFL
we're off.
scores.
Yeah, that's right.
Scores.
We got scores. Vince, you know what to do. You know I love me some scores.
That's right, baby. Let's roll. Jacksonville beat Tennessee 20-16 on Saturday.
Hey, I got something to say about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are a team that started off, we didn't know what the hell they were. They were going to be stinky, and they got better every single week. I'm so happy that Jacksonville won. They're just a really fun team to watch. I've been a Trevor Lawrence fan since he got to Clemson, so I'm really glad to see him win, and he looks good with a real coach.
Yeah, agreed. On to Sunday, Houston beat Indianapolis for some reason, 32-31, and that actually gave them not the first pick of the NFL draft.
Idiots.
All they had to do was lose, and they couldn't even do that right. Minnesota beat Chicago 29-13. Carolina beat New Orleans 10-7. Buffalo beat New England 35-23, and they actually had two run backs, including the first the kickoff of the game, the first kickoff. They ran it all the way back, and it was a lot of poetic magic loveliness happening because of the whole Damar Hamlin situation.
That was, I think, I arguably that was the game of the week. Arguably.
Yeah, New England ended up being eliminated with that loss, but I don't, whatever. They have 6 championships in the last 2 decades.
Yeah, they're the Yankees of the NFL, anyways.
Yeah. Atlanta beat Tampa 30-17 in a game that did not matter at all because Tampa already clinched the playoff spot for the NFC South. Miami won against the New York Jets and were able to get into the playoffs 11-6 in
God, if the Jets only had a quarterback. Derek Carr might look good in that green.
Who knows, man. Pittsburgh over Cleveland 28-14. They do not make the playoffs, but Mike Tomlin keeps his streak alive. 16 years as an NFL head coach, 16 years at or above 500. Way to go, Mike Tomlin. One of the best to do it. Cincinnati over Baltimore 27-16 in a warm-up for the next week's playoff matchup.
Yeah, Jesus.
Seattle over the Rams 19-16 in overtime. Seattle was able to stay alive and wait for the result of the Sunday night game. Denver beat the Los Angeles Chargers 31-28 in another game that did not matter at all, although there's some heat coming from the Chargers head coach for having his players in a little bit longer in a game that did not matter. Mike Williams ended up getting injured. Here we go. Washington beat Dallas 26-6.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that? I heard last week there was like a lot of chirping coming from those those Dallas cowgirls. I don't hear anything now.
Yeah,
I'm here for all the smoke.
The
Bring it
fraud
my way.
boys. The fraud boys. That's what
There's
they are,
nothing
the Dallas fraud
wrong
boys.
with a cowgirl.
That's right.
It's cow frauds.
Yeah. Fraud boys. The fraud boys.
The fraud boys.
The fraud boys. That's what they are. The Dallas fraud boys. And then moving on to the Sunday night game, Detroit beat Green Bay 20-16, eliminating the Packers and giving Seattle the final wild card spot. And that there was a lot of talking from Aaron Rodgers about how the Lions are trash and blah 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 blah, and just all kinds of bulletin board material.
And they whooped his ass
wouldn't you
twice.
know it, they beat him twice.
Standing ovation to the Detroit Lions. Seriously, they didn't make the playoffs. but they came out knowing that they weren't going to be in the playoffs. This game didn't matter for them. And they punched Green Bay in the mouth. They eliminated them from playoff contention. But really, the head coach, man, everybody said that he wasn't going to be good enough. I mean, we kind of laughed at it when he got introduced at his press conference, and just kind of like how much of a character this guy is. But he has everybody buying in to that program. And Detroit Lions got 2 first-round draft picks next year, or coming up in this upcoming draft. That's 2 spots that they could get really good at. They can add another skill position. They can add somebody on the defense. You could go offense, defense. You can add to the line. Shit, you can get a quarterback and still keep Goff and let your quarterback of the future just sit for a year or two. I think the future could be really, really bright for Detroit. I'm just really happy for them. I never grew up as a Lions fan, but they've been terrible for so many years, a lot like the Raiders. And they finally get over the hump a little bit and have something like bright to look at. Seems like they're hitting the draft picks. It seems like they're getting guys in free agency that are the right guys to put on your roster. So shout out to them, but big shout out to Dan Campbell, because there's so many people that made fun of him, and they were just the biggest surprise to me, them in Jacksonville. But Detroit, shout out, man, standing ovation.
Yeah,
the better Cal quarterback won this head-to-head matchup this year. Also, too, Detroit has my new favorite player. I love everything that he does and brings to the table. He also won me a lot of games this year. Jamal Williams. That guy is such a nerd. I fucking love it, man. He's a Naruto fan. That was his fucking pregame interview, or introduction.
The introduction, when they say like what's your name and what school you came to, he had a Naruto introduction, and yeah, it was funny as hell.
This man did a post-game interview with a Gengar beanie on. Got upset with the reporter because he called it Pokemon and not Pokemon. Like, favorite player. Love him.
My man.
Oh, man. And Sam, you actually beat us to the punch there on because I was definitely gonna say, do you feel a little bit of kinship with the Lions for always losing? So yeah, a
little bit.
A little bit. I totally get that.
Jacksonville as well.
Yeah, little bottom dweller, whatever.
And just real quick on Jacksonville, I think we talked about it when the season started. I expected Trevor Lawrence to get better and better because he had like a real head coach. Say what you want, how it ended in Philadelphia, but he's got a head coach that knows how to play the quarterback position, played the quarterback position, and won a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to win and to get an offense to operate effectively. And we saw that. They got a running back, they got the quarterback of the future, and they got some key pieces at the.
All right, so let's talk about our teams real quick. Sam, the Raiders lost to Kansas City 31-13. You got anything to add about that?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing that is really, this is the first time in the post-game conference that I seen Josh McDaniels like clearly upset. And I think what he was upset about is I think he thought he had his guy. I think I'm going into this game. We may not win, but I'm going to put up a 30 burger. I got my guy at quarterback, and it didn't happen. And they looked terrible. The offense looked terrible all over again. The problem is coaching. It's not the talent level. It's coaching. Josh McDaniels is a problem. The only thing I can say is I got to take a deep breath and see if it's going to go through the process of, is it his personnel? He's got to get the right players in. So at this point, all I can do is just kind of sit and watch from afar and hope for the best. But hope is very low. That's all I can.
Fair enough. Going from hope is very low to hope is very high. Both Tyler and my teams won. Let's start with Tyler. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the New York Giants 22-16. Your boys get the job done. They clinched the number 1 seed. Tyler, go ahead, buddy.
Jalen Hurts, man. I mean, I know Patrick Mahomes is a big front runner for MVP, but it's clearly evident that Eagles team is a way better team when Jalen Hurts is out there. And if this wasn't evident, I don't know what to tell you here, but I think it's a coin toss between Mahomes and Jalen Hurts as your MVP this year. I'm biased, so you know who I'm going to give it to. I also want to thank Washington for beating the shit out of Dallas. So, Dallas thought they had hopes and it all got dashed. So I hope they lose to old man Tom Brady.
Damn. As for me, the 49ers won handily 38-13. Brock Purdy looked great. Christian McCaffrey scored a touchdown, real nice one. Elijah Mitchell came back from injury and scored a couple times. George Kittle keeps looking great, especially with Brock Purdy as quarterback. So I'm feeling confident going forward with the 49ers. They don't get the bye, obviously, but they are playing the Seahawks in the first round of the playoffs, and that's a matchup that I look forward to seeing because the Niners should absolutely work them. So,
Vince, I got a question for you about Brock Purdy and the 49ers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
What are your thoughts about just the pairing of Purdy and Shanahan? I don't want to lead your answer, but just from my viewing the past, 5 weeks with Purdy?
It's been 5 weeks. He's won 5 games. No. It's been 6 weeks, 5 starts. So he's 5-0. But then he played most of that first game before that. So yeah.
The biggest thing that I've noticed is for being a rookie, Mr. Irrelevant rookie, Shanahan is calling plays that are like deep in the playbook that we haven't really seen in all the years that Shanahan has been here. And those are the things that make me think that this offense is unlocked. And we can say it's Christian McCaffrey because that's a huge X factor. And Jimmy G did win. I think Jimmy was on a 4-game winning streak when they got McCaffrey. I'll let you correct that when I turn it over to you. But I just think with Purdy, the playbook looks completely different. It looks like the offense that we were promised from Shanahan or the media was saying that we're going to get from Shanahan. I guess what I'm asking, what is your thoughts on the pairing of Purdy and Shanahan and just playing in that offense? We've seen a little bit with Jimmy. They look good. It never quite looked right with Trey Lance, but they didn't have McCaffrey. So with all of that, what is your comments on the pairing of these two?
I think Brock Purdy had several weeks to just keep learning the playbook. I think he has a little bit more arm talent than Jimmy does. So that helps unlock a lot more of the offense. This is probably similar to what we were expecting with Trey Lance, except less, running plays, quarterback keepers, that kind of stuff. So if Trey Lance, develops a pocket passing game like we expect that he would, or we hope he would, this is, this is exactly the kind of play offense that we were kind of waiting for from Shanahan that we couldn't quite get to with Jimmy. So Brock Purdy, obviously, they have a lot of confidence in him, as they should at this point. I think they felt very fortunate he fell to them in the 7th round as the last pick in the draft, because with Jimmy going down, I thought it was going to be a lateral move when it happened. I said that it was going to be a lateral move. I think we drop one of those games. We probably lose the Raiders game if Jimmy's the quarterback, I think. So I am very pleased with Brock's progress, especially. He's you said it, man. They've unlocked the playbook. I'm sure there's even more levels that we could get to that we haven't even started to see at this point. I'm really hopeful going forward for the rest of this year. I think if Jimmy is healthy enough to play, I don't think he will be playing. I think he'll be the backup at this point. I think Brock has earned the right to see this through to the end of the season, wherever that ends. So
I got a couple follow-up questions for you both. I'm going to incorporate you both on these next two questions. Do you think next season, would you even attempt to bring Jimmy back, or do you roll with Purdy as QB1 and Trey Lance QB2, or those are your two, battle it out, and then you bring in a third arm to kind of fill out the spot?
I think Jimmy's gone. Jimmy's going to be with another team next year, and that's fine. Jimmy's been a good soldier through all of this, and he's earned the right to try to find some money and some playing time elsewhere. That being said, I think no matter what happens, Trey Lance is going to enter the offseason as the quarterback one. I think because of draft capital alone, because you gave up so much to get up to the number 3 spot to go get him, you have to make absolutely sure that he is not the guy before you move on to Brock Purdy permanently. And once you make that move, you can't unmake that move. You can't go back to Trey afterwards. So Trey Lance is going to be given every opportunity to be the man, to be the starter, but he is officially on the clock now. That leash is a little bit shorter now because Brock Purdy has played so well at the end of this season and going forward into the playoffs.
All right, Tyler, real quick.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you in the sense that, yes, draft capital makes Trey Lance higher as far as like organization put so much into this that, they should. But Trey Lance is coming back in OTAs and he's going to be having to condition. He's going to have to relearn everything. Like, he's not, just because he's ready at OTAs doesn't mean he's ready to go come preseason game 1. So I think, in my opinion, Brock Purdy is QB1 to start the season, and it's Trey Lance's job to earn it. Only because of an injury that he's coming off of, and it's not a really light injury, it's a pretty serious injury. And I think that's why Purdy is number 1 just to start the season.
I probably should.
Either scenario, Jimmy G's not there.
He's not there.
No, Jimmy's gone. Josh Johnson is a good third quarterback, I guess, to have, or whoever they pick up. Bill Walsh used to have this theory where you just every year just grab a quarterback in the draft, or sign an undrafted free agent quarterback. Just grab somebody, throw them at the back of your bench,
roll the dice,
see what happens, and
roll the dice. Yeah,
that's part of what happened here. Brock Purdy was available. He's probably somebody they had 5th or 6th round grades for, but he was sitting there with the last pick of the draft, and so at that point, you addressed a lot of other needs already. You might as well roll the dice and see what happens. And they lucked out big time, man. So I as far as the to Tyler's point on the Trey Lance thing, I should have clarified that assuming Trey Lance is healthy and ready to go, that would be what my scenario would be. If he's not completely healthy and not completely ready to go, obviously it's going to be Purdy starting out, because it was such a horrific injury for Trey Lance. So that's my only qualifier. If Trey Lance is healthy, it is his, at least to start the year.
We could talk about 49ers all day long. We're probably going to reincorporate them. But I wanted to ask my next question. I pretty much agree with you guys. If I were to ask myself the same question, I think I'm comfortable enough coming back with Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, and Josh Johnson that's the room, and whoever wins. I'm probably rolling with Purdy because he's in the playoffs, and if you win it all, I'm definitely giving him the first 4 games of the regular season. And also, you buy a little bit of time for Trey Lance to get healthy, continue to learn that playbook, and be able to develop as a pocket passer. My next question was, like I said earlier, Trey Lance didn't have the benefit of playing with Christian McCaffrey, who this season coming to the 49ers clearly looks like the best offensive X factor weapon at the skill position. Josh Jacobs with the Raiders looks like he might be the best quote unquote running back. But I'm talking about putting anywhere on the field. Christian McCaffrey has become the best X factor. Jimmy G played well. Purdy played well. How much of this unlocking of the playbook is Christian McCaffrey and not the quarterback play?
Let me go in first, because I actually wanted to talk about what I'm seeing with this offense with Christian McCaffrey into it, as opposed to not being into it. So a perfect segue for your question that you're asking there. My opinion, if Christian McCaffrey is not there, I think Brock Purdy doesn't look as good. And the reason being is because Jalen Hurts and what he's able to do and how he's able to run and has to, defenses have to do that extra scheming of, is he going to be running with the ball? Is he going to be throwing the ball? Is the running back going to take the ball? Right. That's one guy that's doing that. And I think what Christian McCaffrey does is pretty similar to what Jalen Hurts does, is that you got a double scheme. Is Christian McCaffrey going to, catch this? Is he going to run this? Is he going to throw it for a touchdown? It's an extra dynamic that defenses have to worry about. And you for sure always have to have a spy on Christian McCaffrey. So there's one defensive player that's out of the play, right? Because he's just got to focus on him. And
Absolutely.
I think with Trey Lance, if he was in here, I think you get a little bit of the same dynamic that the Eagles have with Jalen Hurts, and with Christian McCaffrey, that would just take him over the top. I know you saw a very small sample size of Trey Lance, but I think Trey Lance's mobility, if he can learn to be a pocket passer, I think the sky's the limit with this team if they decide to keep Christian McCaffrey. But without Christian McCaffrey, I don't think Brock Purdy looks that great. I think Trey Lance looks a little better in that scenario.
Vince, you wanted to add to anything to that?
No, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, Tyler. That's Christian McCaffrey can make a lot of people look real good. Sam Darnold had a couple of games last year where he looked real good with Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of the season, and then Christian McCaffrey went down, and then that was basically the end of Sam Darnold as a potential quarterback in this league, at least one that's worth a damn. So Christian McCaffrey can cover up a lot of sins. And he's very, very talented, obviously. And Brock Purdy is very fortunate to have him there. That being said, Brock Purdy has definitely played at or above basically anybody's expectations, especially coming in as a third string quarterback. So
Absolutely.
I'm not going to take anything away from Brock Purdy at this point. He's thrown multiple touchdown passes in every game he's played in this year, 6 games in a row. So good on him.
I think the thing is with Brock Purdy, if he would have folded like a cheap, collapsible chair, nobody would have blamed him. We would have been like, hey, he's a 7th round pick. He's Mr. Irrelevant. He's a rookie. He's thrusted in this. He would have got the benefit of the doubt. The thing is, he's continuing to win and he looks good doing it, where we've seen other quarterbacks that may have, could have struggled. And to say, I heard a lot today on news radio of local media, a lot of fandom was saying you could plug in almost any quarterback and you're going to get a performance at in this Kyle Shanahan offense. I don't really agree with that in general. With any coach, with any offense, you take Patrick Mahomes out, the Chiefs are not the Chiefs. That you are not just putting the Eagles were really good with Donovan McNabb. They were not the Kansas City Chiefs. Like X factor
look at the Eagles now.
Patrick Mahomes is huge. And talking about reincorporating the previous question about McCaffrey is, I think it goes to your point, Tyler, that you were making is you were saying Christian McCaffrey and Jalen Hurts, you got to have a spy or a double coverage. Like you're doubling, you're putting an extra defender on that person. Essentially, these players are like Steph Curry's. The gravity, right? In Warriors basketball, we talk about gravity. They shift the field. They pull so much weight to that side of the field or court. And I think that's the same. That's the benefit of having a Christian McCaffrey. And what do they always say is a young quarterback's best friend? A strong running game and a tight end. And when you got Christian McCaffrey who can run the ball and then you can audible him into a passing situation, or you could put him out wide. And then when you add in a Deebo Samuel, who is like another version of Christian McCaffrey, but like a wide receiver who could play running back. Like we haven't really seen this offense fully unlocked until we get Deebo back. We got to transition real quick because we got a ton of playoff stuff and we're probably going to reincorporate more 49ers stuff. So let's move on. Let's get into the playoffs. Vince, why don't you lead me off and set up let's set up the matches.
All right. So we're going to get started with the 49ers and the Seahawks. What we're going to do is last year we made our predictions and then we saw how they went out and we kept track of the points. And in the wild card round, each game you get correct is worth 1 point. In the divisional round, it'll be 2 points. It'll be 4 points in the championship round and 8 points in the Super Bowl round. So me, Sam, and Tyler, we are going to make our picks. We're going to see who makes the best picks and who gets the most points. And we're going to have a winner at the end. And we'll see if Vince can go fantasy and making picks 2-0 this year.
Awesome. Before
So-
we get started, Vince,
Mhm.
I just want to compliment you on air on your very simple but clean, beautiful spreadsheet. So small clap, golf clap for you, buddy.
It's breathtaking.
Thank
It's
you.
So breathtaking.
Spread taking.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I've been living in Microsoft Excel for the last decade professionally.
Tim,
so-
you gotta, since we have this screen captured, you gotta put this on the YouTube channel. People have to see this.
Yeah.
It's
So
Vince has nightmares about cells.
no,
Yeah, no.
I'm dead serious, man. This is beautiful. But on to the picks.
all right. So let me just clarify. Preseason, we had our pick them. Like we picked who we thought our Super Bowl champions would be. Sam had the Bills and the 49ers with the Bills winning. I had the Bills and the 49ers with the 49ers winning. Tyler, you had the Bengals and the Rams with the Bengals winning. Obviously, your Rams pick is not going to be good here anymore. We're not
Your
going to take that.
bracket is broken.
Your preseason,
My preseason
prediction
bracket
is I believe the scientific term is fucked.
I'm ready for a do-over. I'll get this one right.
All right, so here we go. We're gonna get started. First and foremost, we have the first game will be Seattle at San Francisco, 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. Get to that. So obviously,
Just
As
put
the-
us all on the board as the same. You know we're all gonna pick the same anyways.
I'm picking the 49ers. Sam, are you picking the 49ers?
Touchdown, San Francisco. That's
Yeah,
my Greg
so-
Papa.
Yep, all of us are on the 49ers for this game. That shouldn't be a shock. Seattle was kind of playing above their skis a little bit, I think, just to get there. Nobody really had them doing anything better than 5 or 6 wins. They end up with the the 7th spot. And I actually talked to one guy who was a Seahawks fan, and I just kind of asked him off the cuff, hey, what are your thoughts of this game coming up? And he said, every time the Niners and the Hawks meet, it's a nail biter, especially during the playoffs. Given that this was supposed to be a quote rebuilding season for the Seahawks, I'm happily surprised to see them in the postseason at all. Regardless of who wins, it'll be a fun game to watch for sure. That was
actually a guy that Vince was interviewing for his job, and so he wrote that down in the interview process. He was like, "You want this job? Tell me what you think about the
You need to
Seahawks."
give me
Do
a
you really
cake,
want
buddy.
this?
No, okay, so
That's going in your file.
yeah, that's in the file. Okay, so next game we have on Saturday is actually the Chargers at Jacksonville, 5:15 p.m. on Saturday. I didn't put these in time order. I just did AFC, NFC, so we're gonna jump around a little bit. Jaguars, Chargers. Who do you guys got? Who's winning and why? Sam
I'll go last.
or okay.
I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right.
And I know we're going to get to in a second, but can you imagine if the Chargers lose this game and they fire their coach? What, like, if you're Sean Payton, are you looking at the Chargers?
The Saints are going to ask for a lot to get him off of the roster, though.
If
Or
you're
off
the
of the,
Chargers, you
payroll.
give up a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna pick the Chargers because I don't want to see the chaos that might ensue otherwise. But Jacksonville has been a fun story this year. Obviously, I'm really looking forward to seeing how well they play on Saturday night. You know, the lights are gonna be bright. Tyler, who do you got?
So I want to touch a point that Sam was talking about with Doug Peterson. Me being the resident Eagles fan, I have no issues with Doug Peterson. I think there was a lot of animosity between him and the ownership with starting Wentz or not starting Wentz, and I think over Jalen Hurts, and I think over time it just became a toxic relationship, and that's why Doug Peterson was shown the door and why he didn't look good in those last 2 seasons, why Wentz looked bad. But in reality, Wentz didn't look good when he went to, the Colts, and now he doesn't look good for Washington. So I don't know if it was ever Doug Peterson at all. Maybe it was just always Wentz. But I think he's a great coach. Is Trent Baalke the Jaguars GM? Is that who it is?
I believe so.
God,
Former
that's
49ers.
the only thing I don't like about them. But with the Chargers now reeling with an injury with Mike Williams, I got to give it up for Doug Peterson, and I'm going to go Jaguars on this one.
All right. So I am the lone wolf on the Chargers. That's fine with me. The Chargers are probably the favorites going into the game, I would imagine. We're going to turn the clock to Sunday, 10 a.m., Miami at Buffalo. Is there any way anybody's picking the Dolphins in this game?
No, they don't even know what quarterback they're bringing out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sam, got Bills?
Buffalo Bills, man. Yeah, the Dolphins don't have a chance.
Yeah, that is across the board. Moving on to the 1:30 p.m. Sunday game, New York Giants at Minnesota. What do we got going on here? This one might be a little bit more interesting. Tyler, what do you think?
I mean, okay. Kirk Cousins just always folds in the playoffs. It's just his MO.
Anytime the lights get bright.
Yeah, I think Justin Jefferson is clearly in his prime right now. I think they're able to overcome the Giants. I don't think the Giants defense is that great. Obviously, the Eagles, took care of them this past week as well. We take care of them this whole season. So I think the firepower of Minnesota is gonna probably win this one out. But Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones are no joke. I think they're, we talk about how, Detroit and their head coach is buying in, but the Giants, that's another team that surprised me this year. So I think they're all buying to this head coach, but I think Minnesota has the firepower to pull this one out.
All right. That's interesting because at this exact time last year, Daniel Jones was very much a joke. But
exactly.
Yeah.
It's called
So
buying in. That head coach
right.
is killing it.
Yeah. Brian Daboll really got something out of him. So that's interesting. Saquon is obviously a stud and can do a lot of things. That being said, I think the Vikings are just a little bit better. I think they're going to get the job done at least this first wild card weekend. Sam, what do you think?
I do got the Vikings. I think the Giants were a team that's much better than anybody expected. And it just shows that the New York Giants hit the nail on the head with Brian Daboll. All of a sudden, the team looks competent, and here we are in the playoffs. So I just think the Giants are probably they thought they were going to have to tear it down, and they salvaged something. I just think they're a year or two too soon, but they're definitely going to be a team that's going to be formidable in the future. But I think the Vikings are just a little bit better.
Agreed. Okay, so that's across the board again. Vikings for all of us. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, Ravens go back to Cincinnati again, where they just played. They'll play at 5:15 p.m. That's Pacific time. Tyler, I have to imagine you're sticking with your Bengals, right? I mean, you picked them to win the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think Lamar Jackson might be available for this game, but a might is not enough if he's even playing to beat that powerful Cincinnati offense. So Cincinnati all the way.
Yeah, I'm actually in agreement. It's going to be tough even if Lamar can play because he's clearly not going to be 100%. He is the best option available if he is available. That being said, it's just not enough. I got the Bengals.
I too have the Bengals. Let's just
we're all on the same wavelength except for the Chargers Jaguars game.
Here's a hot take. The Ravens are going to lose. They're going to blame it on Lamar Jackson, and then Lamar Jackson's going to give him the bird, and he's going to end up a Raider. How about that?
I think Tom Brady is more likely than that.
No, moving on.
No. You're getting Tim Brandy, buddy. You can't call him by his real name. You got to call him something else. All right, Monday Night Football for the wild card closeout game at 5:15 p.m. Pacific time. Cowboys are traveling to Tampa.
Go ahead.
I'll go first on this one. There's no way 8-year-old Vince would let 36-year-old Vince pick the Cowboys I'm picking the Buccaneers. I'm picking I almost did it. Tom Brady to come through
Tom
again.
Brandy.
Tim Brandy. Yeah, so I'm picking the Buccaneers to get the job done on Monday Night Football.
Go ahead, Sam.
Buccaneers. Who's the Cowboys head coach?
That would be
Mike
Mike McCarthy.
And what is he known for?
Choking hot dogs.
And it's just mismanagement of like situations, like just complete mismanagement of the most basic situations. So I don't even think the Buccaneers are better. I just think the Cowboys are going to do something so stupid that they're going to lose the game.
I think that's a fair point. Tyler, you going to make it 3 for 3?
Hell no, baby. I want Dallas to win because I want that fucking smoke. Bring it to Philadelphia,
Interesting.
bitch. I will whoop that ass.
Oh,
bring it, Dallas. Bring it.
Okay.
I like that. I like it.
I'm not mad at it.
I kind of,
I'll
I picked the Bucks. But that'll be a loss that's a shit sandwich that I would eat.
I would not be upset if I was wrong about that game as well. I would love to, of course, that's all contingent on the Niners and Vikings handling business, because if either one of them fails, then you get somebody else and not the Cowboys, of course. But that's in discussion for next week, So we'll see how that goes. We won't even really know for sure, actually.
Until Tuesday.
So, we got a lot to figure out, a lot to go over. That being said, we've got it all locked in. We have all of us are on the Niners, Vikings, Bills, and Bengals. Just to recap, I have the Chargers while Sam and Tyler have the Jaguars. And then Sam and I have the Buccaneers. Tyler's going out on a limb with the Cowboys. So we have our picks locked in, and we are ready to roll for the playoffs. It's been a lot of fun going over this with you guys. Let's turn our attention to Black Monday. This is the day where we start learning who's getting fired.
My favorite time of year.
Yes, of course.
It actually is. Vince, during the pre-show meeting, you said, we were talking about the order of that we're going to go in. Are we going to do Black Monday first and then do playoffs, or do playoffs and then Black Monday? And you go, you know what? Let's talk about the fun stuff. So in my head, I assumed it was Black Monday. And then somebody had to clarify, no, we're going to do the playoffs. And then, so to me, Black Monday is the fun stuff because of speculation season, baby.
I just love spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. That's what it really comes down to. Fun for me. You're looking at a guy who tracked his batting average on Excel, like in a recreation softball league. So yeah, I'm a big old nerd.
Let's start with Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals, man. This is a mess. This is an absolute mess. I don't know how caught up you guys are on this.
I also want to point out, because it's not on our doc there, that the GM was also let go for them.
He technically it's a resignation. And this is what I'm talking about is we talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago. Their coach was fired from the Mexico trip because of like sexual misconduct. So he was sent home.
Oh, that the assistant coach. Yeah.
He was sent home, and it turns out that actually may be a mistaken identity, and it was actually the general manager.
Oh God.
Oh, dip.
So
the plot thickens.
It is I'm not even all the way caught up, dude. I was just getting the skinny of how crazy this is. I haven't even done a deep dive on it yet, so it's probably something that we're going to keep tabs on throughout the offseason, because this is insane. But yeah, Cliff Kingsbury is gone. Where do the Arizona Cardinals go? Sean Payton is the big head coaching fish out there. If a team's willing, he's interviewed with the Denver Broncos or has permission to do so. I guess what do you guys got any comments about this firing?
He shouldn't have been given that extension anyway. They gave him an extension because he made the playoffs, and he made the playoffs because the team was good enough to overcome his idiocy. So But of course, the owner didn't understand that because the owner of the Arizona Cardinals, I can't even remember, is it the Bidwells? Is that them? They don't know what the hell they're doing. That's another dumpster fire of an organization. Every now and then they catch fire just a little bit to make some noise. They had that Super Bowl run with Kurt Warner, a way back when, but it's just top to bottom. And it's been like this for the entirety of the Cardinals' life, from Chicago to St. Louis to now Arizona. They don't know what the hell they're doing. So it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's a mess. Moving on. The Houston Texans have fired Lovie Smith, going 3-13 in one season.
So this organization is a joke to me. I mean, reality, they are the laughing stock of the NFL. And stop me if you heard this, but I think the NFL might be racist. And you're like, the reason why I say this, right? They fired Lovie Smith, right? They did nothing to draft. They gave him no pieces. They gave him no help. Yeah, I'm not surprised that the record shows for itself, but to fire him after one season, I think is the most absurd thing. But let's revisit how we got to Lovie Smith. Okay. Yeah. The Texans were going to hire Josh McCown, who had zero, zilch, nada, not high school, not college. It was basically Jeff Saturday all over again as the head coach for them. And then Flores came out and said, I think the NFL is racist because he didn't get the interview job. For that, it was a missed thing from Robert Kraft saying, I think you got the job, right? But it wasn't him, right? And then the Texans were like, oh, we should probably backpedal because we're about to look really bad. And that's how they hired Lovie Smith. So Lovie Smith wasn't even their first, their second, their third. He was oh shit, we got to make sure that we're in with brown people. Let's hire him. So Texans, joke of an organization. They get everything they get coming to them. I hope Pierce finds himself a better team because that place sucks.
100% agree. Vince, you have anything?
No, you guys covered it. Houston sucks. And I can say that for multiple sports, so.
Yeah, man, I 100% agree. I think the real issue is kind of to piggyback off what you're saying, Tyler, is I think the consensus of football fans who cover the league, who know Lovie Smith, I think the consensus is that Lovie Smith is a really good head coach and deserves an opportunity. And it's just one of those things, like he's not really getting a fair shake. I think he is a good head coach, or would be a good choice for a head coach. That your franchise is in disarray. It's a mess. It's key to have a head coach that knows what they're doing, how to run a team. And then maybe he's not the coach that's going to get you the Super Bowl, but lay a foundation, have somebody who's done this before going after the youngest and hottest head coach. Sometimes they don't know how to build a program. So it's just one of the things that it just seems like Lovie Smith is not getting a fair shake. And that's what adds fuel to the fire of the racism, is that he's not being allowed to do his job. So that one really sucks. Moving on, the Denver Broncos have fired, this is kind of old, Nathaniel Hackett. Sean Payton interviewed with him. We talked about a little bit about this when it happened. What are your guys' thoughts about the Denver Broncos and their parting ways with Nathaniel Hackett?
I don't know. I just think that Russell Wilson, I think he, ever since he's got there, this whole organization's become a disarray and a bit of a toxic environment. So I don't know if it's him. I don't know.
It's only 1 year.
And that's the crazy thing, is that this guy's got his own office. Like, what quarterback has their own office? I've never heard of that. So I don't know. Apparently they told him when he got that you're going to have your own office and you can do whatever you want to do there, but it doesn't make any sense. It's just been a really toxic environment to me.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add either. It's, it's just really weird, whatever the hell's happening. They hired a coach to try to lure Aaron Rodgers. And then when Aaron Rodgers didn't come, obviously they didn't mesh at all. And it did not work at all. And I'm not surprised that he got shown the door.
Yeah, man. Denver's also a mess. I don't know what you do with the quarterback situation. Big contract to move, to cut him. I don't know what you do with it. So that's
you
kind
hope.
of
You hire the new guy and hope. That's what you got to do. Otherwise, that's it. That's the only play.
Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich. They have Jeff Saturday as the current interim coach. Is Jeff Saturday coming back to coach the Indianapolis Colts next season?
He wants to be the guy. I think he feels like he is the guy. I think I saw that in some interview on some article that I was reading, but I don't.
I think Jim Irsay is crazy enough that he'll do it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Jim Irsay is insane enough. He's stupid enough to do it. I don't think he deserves it, but who the hell am I? So whatever,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. I was going to compare it to the Rich Bisaccia situation, but it's not apples for apples comparison because Rich Bisaccia got the Raiders into the playoffs. But I think a lot of Raider fans would like to see Rich Bisaccia the coach of the Raiders, or given the opportunity this season to be the coach. So I don't really have connections to the Colts, so I don't know what Colts fans are saying, but I don't.
I've got a Colts fan or a friend that's a Colts fan, and he definitely wants Derek Carr. He's adamant that they're going to get Derek Carr. Like, he's super adamant about that. And I said, keep dreaming, bud.
They've tried these, retreads. They basically, since Andrew Luck left, they've been like, let's just find a veteran, put him in there, and hope it goes well. It did okay with Phillip Rivers. It did not go okay with Matt Ryan and with Carson Wentz last year. It was just these retreads have just not been the thing, man. They're not working. And now the offensive line, which was a strength, it looks like shit. Jonathan Taylor got injured. He couldn't, he can only do so much. He's a fantasy stud when he's able to play and when he's healthy, but it just was not going to be a thing, man.
Yeah. All right. The next RIP is Matt Rule. Steve Wilkes is the current interim head coach. This is for the Carolina Panthers. Does Wilkes have a shot at coming back next season?
Yeah, I think he does. In all honesty, they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a running back. Well, they got a running back, but then they went to committee. It was all weird. Yeah. I don't think you're going to find anybody who's going to want to take that as a head coaching job. And I think Steve Wilkes will be the coach next year until something improves and they can find something.
Yeah, I think Steve Wilkes, they played hard for him, and they were not officially eliminated until like the second to last week of the season when they lost that game against the Bucks. So, I mean, they were fighting for him, and that's part of what you look for in a team that has a losing record is, are they still playing hard for the head coach? And they were playing hard for Steve Wilkes. And if I'm the Carolina ownership, I definitely, that weighs heavily in my decision. And I would like to see him keep the job, but I'm not close to the Carolina situation. Maybe we can get Steph Curry on and he can answer.
I want to stick with this Black Monday theme, but I want to get into my speculation a little bit. So I got a couple. Who are some playoff teams that if they were to be eliminated, would there be coaching vacancies? Because I think there's a little bit of a hot seat on a few of these teams. Like if Cincinnati loses, you're probably coming back with was it Stefanski? Is that his?
No. Stefanski's on the Browns. That's Zach Taylor is.
Zach Taylor. But what about John Harbaugh? If Baltimore loses, do you think Baltimore's moving off of John Harbaugh? Because there's a lot of smoke coming out of that building.
I haven't heard of any smoke. I'll have to take your word for it.
There's a lot of tension in Baltimore that if they lose, that there might be beef. There might be some issues in the locker room.
I think if Lamar Jackson leaves, then Harbaugh is gone too. That's a package deal at the end of the season. So if they can convince him to stay, then I think Harbaugh stays, only because of the tenure that he's had with Baltimore.
Because he might want out too.
He might, but I can say is that I think if Lamar Jackson says peace, the organization is saying goodbye to Jim as well.
Yeah, John,
sorry.
Yeah. All right, Miami, Buffalo, no hot seat there.
I don't think so. I think it was starting to get a little toasty for Mike McDaniel but they made the playoffs, and so they're good with him now, especially with the quarterback situation.
And yeah, the
being in
Tua
shambles.
situation, I think that bottom, I mean, they were really good when Tua was healthy. I mean, they were
Yep.
really good.
Mhm.
So I mean, Derek Carr on the Dolphins.
Oh Jesus.
Los Angeles Chargers, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are not going to move off of Doug Peterson. He made them a playoff contender. He's a miracle worker right now. If the Chargers move off of their head coach, I think that's a really sexy job for a lot of head coaches. I think a lot of head coaches would want the Chargers job.
Yeah. As opposed to the Cowboys job. I don't think if you want to have any say at all in your team, you don't want the Cowboys job, but Mike McCarthy's an empty suit, so it works perfectly for him.
I would argue that Tampa Bay, that'd be a hot seat job too, only because I'm hearing that, the front office and the head coach are not getting along, and then Tom Brady's getting frustrated. So I think that might be a hot seat too.
Yeah, we could see some movement no
If
matter
Dallas
who loses that game.
McCarthy is fired.
You think so?
If Dallas loses this round, the first round, or the first game that they play,
yeah,
they're eliminated in their first game that they play. He's fired.
I
100%.
I could absolutely see that.
The offensive the offensive coordinator would probably get promoted. He's already interviewing. He's already potentially a head coach that other teams want to hire, and Jerry's not going to want to lose that.
Yep,
true.
Tampa Bay, I don't know. I could see them bringing was it Todd Bowles?
Yeah, he'll probably come back.
I think he comes back. I think they give him another year. All right. I love the speculation. So thanks for participating on the fly with me, guys.
You bet.
Black Monday, other news, Brian Flores being interviewed by the Browns for defensive coordinator job. Jim Harbaugh, D'Amico Ryans, Dan Quinn on Denver's short list. And I believe Sean Payton was granted permission to interview with Denver as well.
Yeah.
And some more speculation is Sean McVay done with the Los Angeles Rams.
No, I don't think so.
There's a lot of smoke here, though. There's a lot. People are like,
there's a lot going on.
It's been a lot talking. They're talking. Maybe we see him take a year off, take a sabbatical, and go do Amazon in the booth for a year, and then he comes back. Maybe they just have an interim head coach for a year for the Rams and just let that guy just take lumps while Sean McVay recharges his batteries. I don't know.
I also think that, the organization spent a lot of money. Like, clearly they spent a lot of money to build this team, which would piss off any owner if they don't make it to the playoffs. But I also think too that, Stafford was hurt in the beginning, and then he ended up getting hurt again, had to go get surgery. And then, Cup goes down with that ankle and he ends up getting surgery. So, I think there was a lot going against them as far as like your two best players being down. So I think he stays for one more season, but definitely on a short list.
Yeah, I heard he has all kinds of personal stuff going on, and that he may need to step away to kind of just get personal things in line. So he was recently married, like during the Super Bowl year or right before he got married fairly recently, and his wife is from the Ukraine, has family from the Ukraine, and there's like all of that going on. And I believe his father just recently passed away. There was a death in his family. I want to say his parents or one of them passed away. So he's kind of like dealing with a lot. So there's talk that he might step away just because he is so burnt out. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does leave the Rams, honestly. Aaron Donald kind of thought about retirement, and what do they say when you're a pro athlete? Once you start thinking about retirement, you should retire, which is kind of weird with this whole Tom Brady thing.
Yeah. What was it? What did Aaron Rodgers say? Sometimes you just know when the carousel comes to an end or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely didn't give away his jersey. He didn't do a jersey swap at the end of that Lions game. He said I think I need to hold on to this one. So
well, he ain't giving his jersey to golf and the Lions.
Oh, no, it was one of the it was
like a linebacker that asked for it.
Yeah. So I mean, he was very respectful. He's like sorry, I think I got to hold on to this one, and I think it almost certainly looks like it could have been his last game for the Packers. It might be his last game. Period. Hey, maybe that's
Raiders.
who
Raiders.
The Raiders go after is Aaron Rodgers.
Can you imagine?
I mean, Devontae Adams.
All off season, dude. The Raiders quarterback situation, the what they do is what we're going to be talking about. The NFL is 24 hours, 12 months. The gift that would be on giving.
That would be the joke of the century, though. If he goes back with Devontae Adams would be like, I was trying to get rid of you. I was trying to get as far away from you as possible. You come back to my life.
That's enough ayahuasca. I don't need that shit in my life anymore. He's trying to get the hell away, and then fucking Throw Rogan shows up again, and here he is, man.
All right, guys. I think we beat the hell out of NFL stuff. Any more football stuff, or?
No, I think we're good. This is the longest we've ever talked.
I'm ready for playoffs, baby. I'm ready. Well,
yeah, I mean,
I'm not because I don't have to do anything this week. I'm off this week, so.
Yeah. No, it's a mega episode. It's the final regular season.
Yeah, totally. So. We had to go a little bit longer than normal, and the people deserve it. So this is all for you.
All 10 of them.
Longer and stronger.
Moving on to the NBA Warriors. Tyler, why don't you take over the Warriors stuff, man? Walk me through it.
Yeah, Wiggins comes back. So you're thinking, all right, we lost to Detroit. It's a really young team, a scrappy team. But then we just come out flat against Orlando. And I think the problem we're running into is that Klay Thompson was a late game scratch. So in that situation, you change up your whole entire game plan. Your whole rotations are all thrown off. So I don't take a lot of stock into losing to Orlando. I think what's kind of telling is that the Warriors shot like 53s and only made 18 of them. They shot like 30%. They only had 16 turnovers. So I think that's a telling sign, because that's the number they usually want to be at. And if they can stay at 15, 16 around that time, a lot of times the Warriors end up winning those games. So I'm not too worried about it. I think Steph comes back next Tuesday against Phoenix.
Tomorrow. So when you're listening to this game, it might be tonight. It sounds like he was probable. So
yeah. So I think getting Klay back, getting Wiggs, back into his normal rotations. He's been out for about a month. Steph getting back into it. I think the ship will right itself. We're in 6th place. Thank God to the East, because they beat up everyone on the West. So we're still playing 500 ball. I think the West is going to be a tough conference. And I think we're going to be in for a long ride. Like, there's going to be a lot of ups and there's going to be a lot of downs. So we'll keep you posted, keep you going with it, but it's early in the season. Don't worry about it. We're just about to hit the halfway point.
Yeah. The game on Tuesday is going to be game 41, which is the halfway point of the season. So the Sharks just hit their halfway point. The Warriors are approaching their halfway point. So these long seasons of basketball, hockey, we're grinding through them, and we're at the apex, and we're about to start coming down the hill toward the playoffs for the Warriors.
When we get into playoff basketball, that's when it really gets into the nit and gritty, and I get really into it. But
did you say the nit and gritty?
Yeah,
like knitting, like
knitting and stuff? And graining.
Oh, knitting and graining. Okay, just making sure. Not the needy greedy, but nitty gritty. Okay.
All right, guys. I'm gonna pull an audible. I'm not gonna go to MLB because I'm mad at baseball. I want to talk about the Sharks. I want to talk about NHL. So
yeah.
How's that, baby?
Well, the Sharks only had 2 games in the last week. They lost in overtime to Anaheim 5-4. They lost against Boston, who is leading the planet, 4-2. They're currently 12 wins, 21 losses, 8 overtime losses, which of course is Seventh in the Pacific, Duck Hut, bang,
Quack,
bang,
quack.
quack, quack, motherfuckers. We are, like I said, we are officially at the halfway point, 41 games down, 41 to go. Erik Karlsson was named to the NHL All-Star game for the Sharks. In the NHL, every team gets a player like in baseball. And but even if they didn't do it, Karlsson was definitely making it because he's leading the planet among defensemen in all major statistical categories. He's been on another planet. He has been the Erik Karlsson we traded for 4 years ago, hoping to see this every year, and the injuries have kind of prevented it from happening. Right now, his star is as high as it's been as a Shark. This is the best I've seen him play in teal, and I just hope it keeps going because there's not a lot of bright spots. Timo Meyer's been scoring a lot. He's a volume shooter, and he just keeps throwing pucks at the net, and they keep finding their way in. He's at like 23 goals, I think, this year. That's just off the top of my head. But yeah, so I mean, and so the rest of the team, just not a lot of, high level talent. So that's why they're in 7th place. A lot of things needed to go right for them, and they just haven't at this point. It's been mostly down. Goaltending's been lackluster. This has just been kind of a rough season. There's been a few bright spots, obviously.
But I think we kind of agree that
Kevin LeBanc has actually been playing pretty well.
But I think we kind of agree that this is just the year for the new head coach to fill out and see what he's got going on here.
Exactly. We said that at the beginning of the year. I wasn't terribly hopeful. Like I said, to get to the playoffs, literally everything needed to break their way, and it hasn't. And that's not terribly surprising. And it's okay. I've got tickets for the Patrick Marleau jersey retirement night. I'm gonna go to that. That's gonna be at the end of February.
We also need to have a team outing. We need to go to see the young pups. We're trying to see.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while. Go see.
Go see the Barracuda. Yep.
So I think we're.
Yeah,
I think the Santa Cruz Warriors. My bad.
We can do both.
I will admit though, the Santa Cruz Warriors tickets are not that cheap. They're actually kind of more expensive than I expected. Whereas the Barracudas are very cheap. They're like $13 a person.
Yeah, and affordable. It's all lower bowl. They don't actually play at the same arena. They play at they built like a 3,000 or 5,000 seat arena at the practice facility, and that's where the Barracuda play. So we can go there, and I actually encourage everybody to go to a minor league game, whether it's hockey or basketball or even baseball when baseball comes around. Definitely a lot of these minor league games. It's so much fun. They do all kinds of fun little promotions, and they don't take themselves too seriously. The players do, but when they're promoting the game, it is a blast. And so I highly encourage everybody, if you're looking to go to a game on the cheap, find a minor league game. Whatever the sport is, that's the way to go.
Absolutely. Vince, on the Sharks, who are some of like the young players you're keeping an eye on? When do we see the crown jewel of the young guys?
Eklund and Bordelot. I really would love to see them come up at some point. They haven't come up yet to this point. They're just crushing it at on the Barracuda right now. So
is hockey similar to baseball that like once you call somebody up, their clock starts, or
kinda? There's like a 10-game window basically each year. You have, when you call somebody up from the minors, you have about 10 games and you can send them back down, and it's like no real like
it doesn't kick in.
It doesn't really kick in the first time. It depends on the kind of contract they signed as well. Whether they're if it's like an entry-level contract like Bordelot, his 3-year contract started last year actually because he got into games, but William Eklund's contract was a little bit different, so he got the 10 game thing that I was talking about, and it just his hasn't quite started yet. So the contracts are a little bit weirder in the NHL, so it's a little bit
do you think we can see those guys next season? Or
we'll definitely
100%.
see them next season. They're probably going to get up to the NHL level this year at some point. There's at this point there's no reason not to have them up, and they're just right now they're just making sure they get as much seasoning as possible down at the AHL level. And then also just they want to make sure, I think probably by the trade deadline, the Sharks are going to look to move some of the veteran pieces, and that'll clear up some room for Bordeleau and for William Eklund to come up and start making noise at the NHL level.
You know, the San Jose Sharks, I don't know if you guys know this or remember this. The Sharks have a special spot in my heart.
I do remember this.
Because I actually did a television commercial for them.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I did a television commercial for them, and it was one of the coolest things, man. I did this commercial for NBC Sports. It might have been Comcast Sports back at
I think it was at that point.
I did this commercial, and it was one of those NBC Sports where, you know, there's a gag, and then it's, you know, they have this payoff of like, we cover sports or something.
Yeah,
and
it's like the insider. You were talking to the insider. Kevin Kurz.
You talk to the insider, yeah. And I play this video gamer, and I can't win. And then I talk to the insider, and he gives me a couple of pointers. I score, and then I'm like celebrating, woo! And then it's, you know, talk to this insider, and you know, you get all the info. So I would be at like Applebee's, and the commercial would play, and then people would be like, "Hey, you're that guy," you know. So the Sharks gave me that, man. I got to be the guy wearing the Sharks sweater in the commercial. So
did you get to keep it?
No, they didn't let me keep it.
Really?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. No. In defense of the San Jose Sharks, this was not their commercial. This was a Comcast, CBS, NBC commercial, and they weren't even on site. The production company did everything. You know, I didn't even meet anybody from Comcast, NBC, or
all I'm hearing is a multi-billion-dollar company was in charge of this, and they weren't even around, so you could have taken it.
To me, that fault's on the production company. The production company was in charge of. I asked the production company if I could keep the sweater, and their costumer said no. So
all right, that's
on them.
Fair.
I'm not going to throw any shade against a world-class organization like the San Jose Sharks, Tyler. I'm just saying, I'm not here for that nonsense.
You could have told the costume to, you know, hey, what if this goes missing? Is that okay?
I should
fell off the truck.
But they have a special spot because your boy did a commercial. So shout out San Jose Sharks. I want to see the young guys. I'm interested in the young guys. You think they bring back Karlsson, or is he? You think?
Oh, Karlsson's under contract for a while. He's not going
3 more
anywhere.
years.
He's got 4 more years, I think.
4,
I think it's 4. Yeah.
Do you think you can't trade him, or
it's too much money? He's a top 3 in terms of money per year. You'd have to eat a lot of that contract, and it's just not worth it if you're trying to clear cap space. It's not worth it unless you find somebody willing to cover almost all of it, man. Like,
I think more likely if things don't improve in 2 years, then he'll get moved. You know, I think a team's willing to take on the 2-year contract of it all, but yeah, they're not going to take the 4-year. It's way too much.
So I think that covers it for the Sharks. Is that's we got some?
Yeah, I'm good. We'll cover them more as baseball continues to piss me off, but I'm still mad at baseball. So I'd rather talk about soccer than baseball. Baseball is going to go last.
There.
Oh man, this is a good one. I don't even know. Vince, you probably know a little bit more than me, but
I need you guys to really unpack this whole situation to me, because I don't know who anybody is. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that don't know anything. So we got to walk me through it. Who's who, what's going on? Let's take our time, because this is juicy. This is crazy.
Let's say this. Okay. I don't know everything to be factual. We just know speculations and hearsays. So I'm not going to go on a limb and tell you that every single thing I'm telling you is truthful, because it may not be, right? It's one side telling a story versus the other side.
This is where Tim edits in an image of grain and salt. Take this
So-
with a grain of salt.
Go ahead, Vince. I mean, I put the article up that we could all read it,
All right,
but obviously
so,
those at home can't see that.
Yeah, Greg Berhalter, who was the coach of the U.S. men's national team, his contract ended after the World Cup. So they were in discussions about possibly bringing him back. Those discussions have halted because of some allegations about Greg Berhalter may have possibly back in 1991 kicked his now wife like in a physical domestic dispute, and that came to light through was it Gio Reyna's mom?
Gio Reyna and Gio Reyna's mom.
Yeah, so Gio Reyna was one of the players on U.S. men's national team who was basically in the doghouse for whatever reason. We couldn't figure it out.
He wasn't hurt.
He wasn't hurt.
He was hurt, but when we got to the Qatar, he was not hurt.
So did it ever come out why he was withheld or not allowed to play or whatever?
Not at the
Berhalter's response was that.
But how did his mom have information like that? That's some of the stuff that I'm so confused about.
Gio Reyna's dad, Claudio Reyna, was a former U.S. men's national team captain and played with Greg Berhalter back in the 90s. And so they had insider information about this incident in question.
So they're like, you fucking with my son.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, so Berhalter's response as to why Gio Reyna didn't play was that him and Gio Reyna had some disputes over some disagreements of certain ways that things were handled. And that's why Gio Reyna didn't get playtime. So Berhalter did say that there was a disagreement between them. Was it this? I have no idea. I couldn't tell you that. It very well could have been.
Now we can't even say this is the Hatfields and McCoys. This is the Berhalters.
And they were super close
too. These are families.
Yeah.
Like these are families.
They were close, and the closest obviously has been burned to the fucking ground at this point. This is some soap opera shit, man. Like this is obviously with like some serious allegations.
When I was reading the article, I had no idea. I was so like I have no context of who is who. So because the article that I read, it wasn't like this person mom, this person dad played with, it didn't break it down. It was just like, and then this person and this person. So I have no context of who's related to who and how the structure works. I had an idea, but I didn't know how connected it was. And the allegation is Berhalter. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Berhalter kicked his wife.
Yeah.
In the early 90s. And
Gio Reyna's Gio Reyna's dad was on the U.S. men's national team, coached it back then with Greg Berhalter. So he knew Greg Berhalter personally.
Wow.
They were pretty close at the time too. Yeah.
So I guess obviously Greg Berhalter was not going to be the head coach of the U.S. men's national team going forward. But you and me, Vince, we've talked about it, that we didn't think he was the right guy for the job after seeing what we saw in Qatar. So looking at that, there's been some prospects of who could possibly take over. I think it's still going to be the intern. And unfortunately, just because there's not really anyone available, I think Jesse Marsh, who is the Leeds, he's the head coach for Leeds. That team is going way above expectations in the not Champion Leagues. It's the Premier League.
They're in the Premier League. They're actually the Niners ownership group is part of the ownership group with Leeds as well.
Makes
so
sense.
Fun facts, they're connected.
Jesse Marsh is the, I guess, second, if you're going to say it, most successful U.S. Born player and coach to actually coach a British Premier team. And he's definitely the most successful one. So there's talks that maybe he could be the head coach, but it isn't going to be now. So the problem is that he's still trying to trailblaze his way into the Premier League, that I think he's not really to step away from that team and be distracted of coaching a U.S. men's national team. That being said, though, he does coach Tyler Adams and Brendan Arison, who was on the U.S. men's national team. He coaches them at Leeds. So Another talk is Jim Curtin, which I'm kind of in for that. I'm very interested, but I also think that Jim Curtin doesn't fit. I think Jim Curtin is more like Greg Berhalter. Jim Curtin is the Filipino, the Philadelphia Union manager. So he's a MLS head coach. He's known to get talent and out of young kids and younger, players and be able to have them play above what they normally do, which I think it's kind of where they're at now. These guys 4 years from now, when we do the World Cup in the United States, they're going to be in their prime. So I think maybe Jim Curtin is out of the picture. Marcelo Bisila. If you were to ever get him, you think Greg Berhalter's drama is something. This guy is known for roughing feathers constantly. It's his show or no fucking show. He is really great, and his nickname is El Loco. So that should tell you everything you need to know about him. He is nuts. He's definitely one of those guys that's very hard on his players, but gets the best out of every single one of them, and everybody fucking hates him. So would he be the U.S. men's national coach? I think he'd be a great fit, but I don't think the U.S. is ready for that guy. So
yeah, no, he's if you hire him, I don't know that he makes it to the World Cup. Like I don't know. Get somebody else. They might burn him out. Like he might burn them out before he even gets to the World Cup. And you're looking for a guy who's going to coach them from now through the next World Cup and hopefully on to even bigger and better things after that. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't go with a psychopath.
Those are possible. Those are only three that I could see could really fit into the mold, into the picture. In reality, I think it's just going to be the interim head coach. There's not going to be a big splash. They tried to get Zidane, which we went from a coach who kicked his wife to a guy who headbutted somebody in an actual World Cup.
The World Cup
I don't know why you'd want him.
He was justified.
No.
It was
he
soccer,
said
damn it.
The guy, he was pulling on his shirt, and then he said, "I'd rather have your sister's shirt," and then that's when Zidane headbutted him. So, at least that's the rumor from back in 2006 when it happened.
Yeah.
So, fun story. Soccer is full of characters, man.
Side fact about the World Cup, I threw it in there just to see if you guys knew. Marshall Mathers turned down $8 million to perform in Qatar, which I'm super excited about that. For those who don't know, Marshall Mathers is also known as Eminem. Right. So Eminem turned down
the money.
And the crazy thing is 50 Cent was the one that reported it. So not Marshall Mathers.
Eminem doesn't need the clout. He knows, he knows what he is, and he's been kind of like in recent years, he's been in front of doing he was talking about Donald Trump being a piece of shit, in like that little rap thing that he did way back when. And so, I mean, he's done stuff like this before, and he's not afraid to make it known, but also he doesn't need to make it known. Somebody else did this work for him too. So,
last touch on soccer. I just want to say congratulations to Wrexham. What did we call them? The college team that's beating the Sacramento Kings. They actually beat Coventry City. It was a tight game. It shouldn't have been, because they were up 4-1, and then they just kept giving up goal after goal. So it got real tight there in the end there. Their next matchup is going to be the top of the championship league. They're going to play Southampton, I think it is. Sheffield United. So they don't pull a Premier League team, but they do pull one of the best
championship level teams.
Level team. Yeah, that's most likely they're going to go to the Premier League next year anyway. So essentially, they're in second right now in the championship league. So
yeah, 3 go up, 3 come down at that level. So yeah.
But yeah.
All righty, guys, we got to circle back to baseball. Hot stove. Carlos Correa and the Mets are not in agreement. The Mets are getting frustrated. So last I heard about this, they're still debating language about, I believe it's an ankle injury that was surgically repaired when he was in the minor leagues or something like that. And they're trying to get the language just right about that injury. So that's what I know. Did you guys hear anything different?
No.
All I know is that now teams are starting to call to see if he's available.
Well, Scott Boras has publicly said that, like, I got another team, so we need to get this done. And the thing is you know, it seems like he always truly does have another team ready for a contract. So
It's
we'll
not
see what
Oakland.
happens there. Not
Breaking
Oakland.
news. It's not Oakland.
I'll do the Trevor Bauer one.
Okay.
He's
Liam
released by
Hendricks.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Trevor Bauer was released by the Dodgers.
See ya.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. Now moving on to Liam Hendricks. I think this holds a little bit extra special spot in all of our hearts here. Liam Hendricks played for the Oakland A's, and he's been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and begins treatment on Monday. This really hurts and bothers me on a very personal level. This is the same exact cancer that my mom was diagnosed and passed away from back in January 2019.
And it's the same one with my sister back in 2008. So yeah.
And I believe this is the same one that took our dear friend
yep.
Charisse. I believe this was also
it was
lymphoma.
Yep.
So this is a nasty disease that I think has been personally, we've all been hit really hard by this, by people who made massive impacts on our lives, and we continue to miss them. I wish nothing but the best for Liam Hendricks, and you know, I truly just wish the best, that he's going to be okay, cheering for him as an A. I got to meet him at a fan fest before he kind of broke out, and he should have been the guys that this owner should have paid and retained. He should still be an Oakland A, and I wish him nothing but the best, and support to his family and all that. So this one hits home for me, just because it makes me reflect on my mom and our dear friend and your sister, Vince.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, you said it best. I can't add anything else to that. Good luck, Liam. We're pulling for you.
And with that, we've reached the end of the show, guys.
Well, hold on. I know we did something sad there, but I want to touch on a unique story that happened between the Giants and the Brewers last season. A fan was charged with burglarizing. There we go.
There, atta babe.
The Brewers clubhouse after a September 8th game between the Giants and the Brewers. A 25-year-old man was charged for stealing items in the Brewers locker room after he fell asleep in a doubleheader in the bushes outside, woke up, walked inside, found his way into the tunnels, and just yanked the door open. He stole a baseball bat replica, a jersey, some kind of electronics, a laptop. He stole a whole bunch of stuff onto it. So I don't know how you let that happen. I think that's, I don't know. I don't know how you do that. You fall asleep in the bushes and you find your way underground and open up a door and steal shit. I don't understand how you let that happen. Where was the security? Nobody was paying attention to this man?
Yeah. Ugh. Okay.
That was a fun story.
I don't know if you guys, at the time of this recording, the college national football championship is going on.
Mattress Mac is sweating right now.
Yeah, it's looking bad for TCU. They're getting demolished. It's at halftime, and I don't think they're coming back. So, just mentioning that.
My last extra point to you is that, Sam, do you think you're tough? Do you think you're your pain tolerance is high? Like, you're a tough person. Like, you could tolerate a lot. Do you think you can do that?
Depends on what I'm tolerating.
Pain.
What kind of pain?
Well, I got my face shattered and didn't collapse, so there's that for me.
Okay.
But did it hurt?
Oh, it hurt.
Are you so tough, Sam, that are you as tough as Blake Wheeler?
Maybe.
Blake Wheeler plays in the NHL, and on December 15th, he played a whole entire game with a ruptured testicle after taking a puck to his crotch.
No.
Oh
no. No.
Well, at least it's on ice, so
Tim, dynamite dropping, bud. That was it. I can't. I'm not gonna try to top it. That was great.
Moving on.
That was my extra points for tonight. I just thought that would be a fun little story to throw in there in the end there, but I am not that tough. There's no way. I'm sorry.
No.
I've taken a dodgeball to the crotch and I wanted to give up on life. So I'm not playing with a ruptured testicle. It's not happening.
Neither am I.
Alrighty, guys. Any final comments? Any points we want to come back to? We good?
I'm all set, man.
Great. I mean, that was a fantastic show, guys. Really.
Yeah. Dynamite. A little bit longer than normal, but we needed to do it because the playoffs are starting. It's playoff time, baby. This is tis the season.
We got to title it, the juicy episode.
It's a lot of juice in this one.
This is a 12-hour cooked brisket.
It's just smoked for like hours and hours, and it's falling off the bone, baby.
Don't talk about food around dinner time. Come on,
I know, right?
I'm hungry. I'm super hungry.
All right,
now.
guys. Great job, all you fans out there. Please like and subscribe. If you're listening to us on Spotify, please follow us there, or iTunes. YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. Please hit the notification bell. You could follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SVT Sports Pod. Please slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with you.
With that, we say goodnight.
Bye, guys.
All right.